Caloroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with 5 good news stories. We have another lost ring that has been found. This one, a 1938 class ring found in the parking lot at Starbucks. And they were able to get it back to the original owner's granddaughter. Lori said she found the Virginia Tech class of 38 ring in the parking lot of a Starbucks in Wilmington. She told TV, "I just noticed a shiny object in the corner of the parking lot, and I thought, this is a beautiful ring. I'm a sentimental person, and I appreciate family heirlooms, so I just didn't feel right to get rid of it or sell it or give it away." She did some online research. She found the original owner was Virginia Tech graduate Wallace Garst, who had died several years ago. Garst had a son who passed away in 2024. That obituary included a photo that showed him wearing his father's ring. From the obit, they were able to find the granddaughter, Laura, who said, "I feel it was serendipitous that my dad was reaching out. He knew I'd been thinking about him, and he was popping in to say, 'I'm here.'" What a nice story. In Iowa, a 9-foot python was found in somebody's yard. Yikes. But good news, the python has found a new home in Illinois. The Cedar Rapids Animal Care and Control said the python, given the name Sir Hissalott, I love it. Sir Hissalott was found in a resident's front yard. Officials weren't sure if Sir Hissalott had escaped from his home or was abandoned. Animal care manager Ray told the Gazette newspaper, "We can't confirm for sure if the python was abandoned, as it's entirely possible that it may have escaped some type of enclosure, but there is potentially some suspicion that it was abandoned because in my experience, this is a rather common thing for people to do when they can no longer care for them." Sir Hissalott has a new home in Illinois where they will be cared for by a partner organization. The story here says they didn't identify Sir Hissalot's new home for privacy concerns. Nice job out of French Polynesia. They announced the creation of the world's largest marine protected area. It is nearly 1.9 million square miles. Of that, 424,000 and change square miles will be designated as highly or fully protected, meaning only traditional coastal fishing, ecotourism, and scientific research are allowed. Practices like deep-sea mining and bottom trawling restricted across the entire marine protected area. That's awesome. You know when somebody's being a little bit of a jerk and they're like, "What's this? It's the world's smallest violin that I'm playing for you." You know when people do that? Well, a team of physicists have used nanotechnology to create the world's smallest violin. It's so small it can't be seen without a microscope. The platinum violin measures 35 microns. Now you're like, "John, I know a lot of things. I don't know what a micron is." Well, let me tell you, a micron is a measurement unit equal to 1/1,000,000th of a meter. The violin is smaller than a human hair. A human hair can be 17 to 180 microns. The world's smallest violin is 35 microns. The scientists say, though creating the world's smallest violin may seem like fun and games, a lot of what we've learned in the process has actually laid the groundwork for the research we're now undertaking. That technology is nanolithography, technology that allows scientists to build and study nanoscale objects and structures. I want to talk to you about a new book by author Carl Barney about something we all strive for, happiness. You weren't born to coast through life. You were born to feel alive, to wake up with energy, to live a life that excites you. The new book, The Happiness Experiment, is the tool to help you do just that. It's not fluff. It's a practical system to help you find your unique version of joy, meaning, and drive. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. If you want to learn more, take a few minutes at the end of this podcast and listen to an interview about the Happiness Experiment and how you can bring it to life. Plus, to discover your unique happiness type by taking the free assessment at myhappinesstype.com. That's myhappinnesstype.com. Then grab your copy of The Happiness Experiment at booksamillion.com. That's BOOKSAMILLION.com. booksamillion.com. And I know I do a lot of this type of story, but this one has a big number in it. Good news, we found your 60 cows. Yeah, I mean, funny, not funny. Someone said about 60 cattle loose. Officers responded to a report of cows on the loose at around 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning. They showed up, and they found 60 cows, calves, and bulls had been released from the pasture. 2 of the bulls went over to the third hole of the Lone Tree Golf and Event Center. Locals are being asked to report any additional cattle sightings because they're not sure the number's actually 60. So if you see a cow loose, call the officials and be like, Hey, found another one around Gentrytown Park. And those are your 5 good news stories for today. If you'd like the program without commercial interruption or fee drops, there's a link in the show notes. The short version is for $5 a month. You'll get this show, daily comedy news, which I host 7 days a week, and 25 plus others on the network. You get all those ad-free, fee drop-free. Link in the show notes, caloroga.com/plus. If you're on Apple Podcasts, click the banner that says Uninterrupted Listening, and you have an awesome day. Coming up, a bonus interview.
Our sister, I'm going to bring forward yours and give it to you now. And he said, oh, wow, that's great. Thank you. That's so generous of you, Carl. That's great. But his wife, my sister-in-law, went ballistic. She said, this is too much money. This is wrong. I don't want anything to do with it, and stormed out of the room. And I thought, well, that's not what I expected. Oh, my God. So I realized from that this was not an easy thing to do. So I learned a lesson from that, and I knew that I had to do this authentically. I had to do it right. Otherwise, it was not going to work. So that happened. And then the third thing that happened was that I was looking at my financial statements, and I had more money there than I was really using. It was sitting there. I mean, it was growing, making profits and so forth, but it wasn't being used. I wasn't using it for me. I wasn't using it for things that I really cared about, not for my people. So I thought, well, if I have all this money now, why should I wait until I die? Why don't I bring it forward? And then, it was a long process for me to come around to that, but that's what finally started this. And I said, well, I'll do it now.
Let's back up just a bit. Tell us a little bit about your new book. What is The Happiness Experiment?
Well, this is a recording of the real events with real people who I decided that I would bring forward the inheritance, the money I had for them in my will, and made it a prequest. So it was a chunk of money that they were going to get while they were still young enough to enjoy it, and I was still alive to see it happening. So I saw what they were doing. So when I sat down with them, I talked about money and happiness and how one can be connected. I said, look, I'm going to bring this forward and give it to you. But what I want from you is a plan so that you use this money. So it's really a big benefit for you. I don't want this to overwhelm you. And they said, what kind of plan? I said, I want a happiness plan. And they said, a happiness plan? What's that? So nobody seems to have a happiness plan. But it's one of the most important plans you can get. And it doesn't have to be very complex. What is it that makes you happy? What values do you want to pursue? What goals and dreams do you have? And you can pursue them. And so I got them to write a happiness plan. And then when I saw the plan, I gave them all the money, all at one time. And so then they took it, and I watched them with their plan. I saw all their plans, what they did, and how they became happier. And so, that had to be written about. So, because I wanted other people to see what they did so that they too could do the same thing.
Which prequest is the most unique one you've come across?
Well, it was a very, very painful and sad story because 2 dear friends of mine had a beloved daughter, and she was hit head on by a drunk driver and killed. She happened to be 8 months pregnant at the time, so that killed the granddaughter too, and also their daughter. They were totally wiped out, devastated, and they died emotionally. They had decided that they could never be happy again, that it would be wrong to be happy. They didn't deserve to be happy because their darling daughter had been killed. Tremendously painful, awful story. So they were grieving 6 years later. And I met with them, and I told them how much they had added to my life and how much I was so grateful to them, and that I wanted to express the gratitude. And I put them in my will, and they could accept that. And I said, but I want you to have it now. And they said, oh, no, we can't accept it. They turned it down. Well, we worked. I said, look, I'm leaving it open. So several months later, I think his wife persuaded him to do it, actually, so they said, okay, we'll do it, because if we're going to wait until you die, why not do it now? And they did it. And it wasn't the money, interestingly enough. They said it was the coaching that made the big difference. That changed their mindset from being so negative. We'll never be happy again. We don't deserve to be happy. And the coach turned their thinking, their mindset around and said, look, you can be happy again. And they started to get the mindset of happy people. And now you cannot believe what these people, they're traveling all over the world. They're in Tahiti right now. They climbed Kilimanjaro. These people are loving life. And it was a major change. That is one of the most heartfelt, wonderful results of the. And in a sense, she said, the wife said, this prequest saved my life because we were no longer living. We were dead. And this brought us back to life.
Yeah, I mean, dealing with grief, and many of us have, I have, when you're in those depths, it can be really difficult to find your way out of it. And, often it looks like there isn't a way out of it. And, sometimes you want a map, right? And it looks like this concept could be a good map for you if you're that. It sounds like it was for these folks. I always like to end interviews by asking, is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have?
How can my listeners benefit from this book? What should they do? What would be good for them? And so I'll answer that question. First off, think about happiness. Think about being happiness. You deserve to be happy, and you can be happy, but you have to make it as a choice. I'm going to increase my happiness. Just that, if you make that realistically, I want to, and I'm going to increase my happiness, that choice. And then talk to people about it. Talk to a husband or wife or a girlfriend or a friend, a therapist or coach. Talk to somebody about it and say, look, I made the decision that I want to be happier, and I'd like you to help me create a happiness plan. And then work on it. And it's not that hard, but it is challenging, but it's a wonderful exercise. And if they do it, I guarantee they will increase their happiness. I guarantee it.
Carl Barney is the author, and the book is called The Happiness Experiment, A Revolutionary Way to Increase Happiness. Carl, where can people find the book?
Wherever books are sold, and it's now available for pre-order from Amazon, and they can go to thehappinessexperiment.com, and they can pre-order it there, and I hope they will.
Carl, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It's been fun.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there are lots of places that also have it, and they might not be as careful as you are. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will help solve identity theft issues on your behalf, guaranteed or your money back. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. You might not be able to control how others handle your personal information, but you can help protect it with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART, or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
You can call me James. I spent 23 years designing aircraft that officially don't exist for agencies you think TV made up. Until I started asking the wrong questions. Navy ships are recording objects moving at impossible speeds. Infrastructure is failing in coordinated patterns. The moon looks smaller than it did 10 years ago. None of this is a coincidence. The official explanations don't add up. This is Paranormal Aliens, where we connect the dots they don't want connected. If you're hearing this, you know where to get podcasts. Follow Paranormal Aliens. New episodes weekly until they shut me down.